Morning, Guelph. My name is Mark Peralivas, and I didn't win last night, and that's okay. Last night was the 43rd election, and the results came in fairly quickly. Guelph had some crunch times at around 7 o'clock at some of the south end polling stations, but they pulled staff, and everything seemed to balance out okay. I want to say thank you to my team and say that, well, I mean, what an incredible group of volunteers. I couldn't have done it without you. And I want to say thank you to all the other candidates and all of their teams as well. Everybody was working hard during the last 40 days to put our ideas forward. And the candidates themselves, their teams behind them, they all do a lot of work to put all this together, and Elections Canada workers as well to take in the votes and then tally the votes, and all of that stuff is a colossal amount of work, incredible amount of work. So thank you to everyone, the teams who worked hard, the volunteers who worked hard, the candidates who put themselves forward, and it's been a really, really incredible and interesting ride. I want to talk about congratulations to Lloyd Longfield for retaining his seat in Guelph. And I want to talk about the fact that Trudeau didn't get a majority. Usually in Canadian politics, a prime minister is reelected, and with a strong majority the way Trudeau had in 2015, almost nobody was willing to bet that Mr. Trudeau would lose control of the government during this election cycle. Really, in 2015, pretty much everybody thought it was at least 8 years of Trudeau, at least. And that was most of the pundits, etc. And then the first couple of months happened and people were like, whoa, this is not what we expected. And that's true, including me, right? And here we are, and falling from a majority like that to the minority that we have is a fall from grace. And it's in line with how Canada generally votes. Generally, you give a first-term government, the country, Canada, gives a first-term government a second term, right or wrong. And while the electorate is always right? And so, right or wrong, here we go. This is another term of Justin Trudeau in a minority position with the NDP holding, looks like, the balance of power, and the Bloc Québécois increased their seats unbelievably. They have 32 seats. Last I checked, it was 32. And I mean, that's an unbelievable resurgence. The NDP had a bad night, but while their seats decreased, their power increased. So that's interesting. Jagmeet Singh is now pushing Justin Trudeau to, well, in order to push legislation through, they have to work together. So this is going to be an interesting 4 years. I don't know if it's going to be a positive 4 years. In my opinion, probably not, but we'll see. And so there's a silver lining in that cloud, in that Mr. Trudeau needs to work with another party. It is a storm cloud, however, the other party is the NDP. And so between killing the Trans Mountain Pipeline and talking about winding down our Canadian oil industry, it just seems like we're destined to spend Canadian money on foreign oil and bad investments. And we're going to watch investments in Canada leave. We're going to watch Alberta struggle, and we're going to have a minority government. And so, where do we go from here? Mr. Bernier did not retain his seat. And I realize that it took me 3 minutes to get there, but it is important news. And, well, the fundamental part of that is I bought a 5-year membership to the People's Party of Canada. And as far as I understand it, the Greens took more than 10 years to have a seat in the House of Commons. Okay, so we had a bad night, and the People's Party is not represented in the House of Commons right now. Okay, I think our ideas are still valid, and I think that having the conversation is important, and whether or not we win is immaterial, because, as I said, sharing the ideas is important. Having the option is important. And, well, I think that if we had a campaign where everybody wasn't smearing Mr. Bernier, because that's what's happening. That's what was happening. The Liberals were smearing Bernier, the Greens were smearing Bernier, the Conservatives were paying Warren Kinsella to smear Bernier, the media were smearing Bernier. Pretty much everybody was smearing Bernier, and the accusations of racism were false or manufactured. And that played into it. I think the smears worked. I do. I think the smears worked. So, is that democracy? It looks like in Canada it is. It looks like it is. It looks like you can wear blackface and pretend to be a feminist, and you can put out budgets that have nothing to do with money and focus on gender and identity politics. and you'll get reelected. That's what happens in Canada. That's what just happened in Canada. And if you stand up and say we should be fiscally responsible, we should spend within our means and stop spending money on people who are not citizens, and stop spending money on people who have not paid taxes here, that can be vilified in the media with no proof, with some flimsy pictures, and they ignore the pictures of Justin Trudeau with similar shady characters. They ignore the invitation of terrorists to dinner in India, to Indian state dinners, and much more. SNC, Lavalin, corruption, etc. And yet, I thought this was petty, and I'll mention it. The news media seemed gleefully giddy when Bernier lost his seat. And so, is this democracy? Is this the democracy we want to see? It seems that way. And okay, the electorate is never wrong. So, in Guelph, back to local, there's only one winner, and there were 9 people on the ballot. And so, it's okay that I lost, and it's okay that Mr. Bernier lost. I think that I stand by what I said yesterday. Without Mr. Bernier standing up and saying these things are wrong and these things are the things that I believe, he started a movement, and we had a bad night. And I don't think the movement's over. So, thank you for watching. I'll be around. And, well, have a very, very